I have a question for you. Am I the only one who is getting sick and tired of hearing over and over and over again just how awful, just how burdensome, just how terrible it is to have to live in these United States?
There's so much chaos, there's so much disruption, there's so many appalling things.
Sure.
It begins to blend together into this dark, churning gray cloud.
That was MSNBC host Alex Wagner ranting on Stephen Colbert. Here's another one.
I mean, no bullshit. I can't take it. Every single day, every single hour. And it's not even about Dems versus Republicans, it's about this country and what we stand for, man. They're literally putting America in reverse.
Gavin Newsom. You'd hope the man who wants to be president would show a little pride, a little positivity about the country that he wants to be top dog in. Or maybe he thinks that it's just so terrible, but he's going to fix it all. And then finally, here's Nancy Pelosi.
He's just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do, yeah.
I have to admit that America is not perfect. I mean, it isn't. Everything isn't hunky-dory here. I get that. But I love America enough to acknowledge that it's not perfect, that things need to be fixed, that we need to change certain things, and still love it. It's just like anything. It's just like people in your life. You don't have to love everything about somebody in your life to love them, right? You don't. You don't have to love everything about your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father. You don't have to love everything about somebody in your life in order to love them. There are things in this country that I don't like, that I can't stomach. You've heard me talk about those things. And they're eating away the soul of this country, but only if we allow them to do so. I have come to the conclusion that a bunch of so-called journalists in the legacy media have decided that you are stupid. Those children deserve every opportunity from the first day they step into a school. I don't like our educational system. I don't like the fact that we have people in this country that don't have enough to eat. I don't like that we have people in this country that don't have a roof over their head. I don't like that all of our young people don't start out at the same place, that some of them go to schools where when the wind blows, all the papers blow off their desk, and then other people have computers and Wi-Fi hookups and all of that. We don't have equal opportunity. I don't like that. We need to work on that. We need to fix that. But the real story is that America is still the greatest country in the world. If you're going to start behind, if you're one of those people that doesn't start in the same place as somebody else, and you have a steeper hill to climb, America is the country I would like to climb it in. I can tell you that for sure, because I still believe America is the greatest opportunity in this world to have the best life that you're ever going to have. Now, this Thanksgiving, I think we need to all step back and be thankful that we're Americans. It's just too easy to complain that we would be happier someplace else. If it's so bad here, why is everybody trying to get into this country? You don't see people lined up at the border trying to get out. You see people lined up trying to get in. I've heard people in Congress from countries that are horrible in terms of violence and death and exploitation and mutilation stand up and say, this is the worst country on the face of the earth. Are you kidding me?
To have a democracy, a beacon of hope for the world to now be turned into one of the worst countries.
Like I said, there's not a line to get out of the country. If it's the worst country in the world, you could go anywhere by default and be better. So why are you still here? A few months back, I did a real story on all the high and mighty celebrities who moved overseas. Since Trump has been elected, I'm pulling up stakes and moving out of this country. It's okay with me. Bye. If you want to leave, I understand. It is a free country, so you can leave. Grass always looks greener, doesn't it? But don't be fooled. Just look at these global headlines. As cost of living soar, more Canadians are relying on food banks. I hate that for them. I love Canada, but it's a reality in that country. Here's another one. The lingering epidemic. Mexico grapples with growing number of the disappeared. Greeks fed up with corruption scandals. Why does every disgruntled American threaten to move to Canada? Canada is a beautiful country. Canadians are wonderful and warm people, but please realize you just can't simply skip across the border and become a Canadian citizen. You want to know why? Because Canada has a border. Canada has a strict, highly regulated immigration process. Remember that the next time someone screams for open borders in America. But if you do make it to Canada, I hope you have a lot of money because they have a cost of living crisis. Fuel prices are sometimes 20 to 25% more than they are right here in the United States. Some food staples are 25 to 50% more than they are in the United States. And food bank usage in Canada has received unprecedented levels, with 1.5 million Canadians relying on them. I hate that for Canadians. I'm not saying that like nanny, nanny, boo-boo.
Nanny, nanny, boo-boo.
That's not my point. My point is the grass always seems greener on the other side. That's because you're standing on this side and you're looking from a distance. Housing prices in Canada have soared, making home ownership increasingly unattainable, just like some people feel it is here in the United States. Now, what about Mexico? It has excellent weather, stunning landscapes. Lots of people want to move there too. There are some downsides to that, like, being kidnapped or killed. Murder rate in 2023 were 25 homicides per 100,000 people, compared to 5.7 per 100,000 people in the U.S. 5 times as much, almost. 130,000 people have gone missing in the past few decades and haven't even been found. According to Human Rights Watch, there is extreme violence by organized crime groups and widespread abuse by state agents with near total impunity. They don't have the kind of accountability there that we have here in the United States. So you've got state agencies that disappear people. What about Greece? Amazing honeymoon spot, right? Here in the U.S., we throw around the word corruption anytime something doesn't quite go our way.
To me, this amounts to a level of galling corruption.
The corruption that exists in Washington, D.C.
The most important story to tell is a story of corruption, a story of mind-blowing, massive, scalable corruption.
We'll be right back. Ever feel like your tank's running on empty no matter how much sleep you get or how healthy you eat? Sometimes your body is simply missing what it needs to recharge. That's why I trust Magnesium Breakthrough from Bioptimizers. It delivers 7 forms of magnesium plus vitamin B6 and humic and fulvic acids to help your body absorb and use it efficiently. Magnesium plays a vital role in helping your body relax, recharge, and recover. This formula helps support calm focus, deeper rest, muscle recovery, and overall well-being without artificial colors, preservatives, gluten, or soy. You can feel the difference when your body gets what it needs. So if you want to sleep soundly, stay centered, and power through your day, visit bioptimizers.com/Dr. Phil and give it a try, because real balance starts from the inside out. You want to talk about corruption? Try living in Greece. 79% of Greeks are angry with the political system, corruption, and scandals. Over the summer, the Greek prime minister posted, quote, "We failed." And to experience real corruption, visit any of the red countries on this map you're looking at right now. The darker the red, the more corrupt. Did you notice? On the continuum of corruption, America isn't red at all. Now, does that mean that we don't have any corruption here? Comparatively not. That doesn't mean there isn't corruption here, but compared to what it is on a world scale, we don't even make the bottom of the continuum. We don't need to make comparisons to be thankful Americans. Here's a list of reasons to be grateful to be Americans. Many that we just take for granted. We're free to worship God without restraint. You think, well, yeah, but think about that. When you drive through any town, any city in this country, there's a church on almost every corner of different denomination. And we just take that for granted. Church suppers, church meetings, church socials, all sorts of things. And nobody ever says a word about it. Nobody worries about what the Baptists are doing, the Catholics are doing, the Lutherans are doing, the Methodists are doing, the non-denominationals are doing, the Muslims are doing, and nobody thinks a thing about it. They just do what they want to do. More than half the countries in the world restrict religious freedom or are hostile to certain religions. We have the right of free speech, and U.S. citizens have the right to vote. According to Pew, only 28% of the people in the world say the media are completely free to report the news in their country. Something else. I have fresh, drinkable water, and I have it pouring from my faucet whenever I want it. 2.2 billion people, 1 in 4, still live without safely managed drinking water. Now, we take that for granted. People think electricity comes out of that switch. It doesn't. I have electricity available 24 hours a day. 730 million people worldwide still lack access to electricity in 2024. In the Congo, they have the electronic infrastructure necessary to run one medium-sized city in the United States for the entire country. And gasoline, it's far less expensive here than almost any other country. Ask a European if you don't believe it. In Texas today, just today, gas is $2.62 a gallon. It's almost $6 per gallon on average in Europe, $14 a gallon in Hong Kong. Here, every child has a right to an education. Approximately 90% of U.S. adults aged 25 and older have a high school diploma. Not sure that it's great, frankly. I think we need to do a whole lot better job, but they've got it. Americans have a wonderful sense of empathy and generosity. In 2024, how much money do you think Americans, now they pay their taxes, but how much money do you think they just gave away voluntarily in addition to that? $1 billion? $100 billion? $200 billion? $300, $400? In 2024, Americans voluntarily donated $592.5 billion because they care. They're empathetic. They're generous with people that have less. And facts and figures only tell part of the story. Anyone has the chance to be successful in this country. I didn't say anybody will be. I said, but anybody has the chance to be if they're willing to work. There is an opportunity for anyone and everyone. I did not say it is an equal opportunity. That's something on the to-do list that we need to work on. Our Constitution is a work of genius. You can go to a mall and you can see Latinos, Asians, Indians, Middle Easterns, African Americans, whites, all shopping together without incident. We can not only count on getting a paycheck if we've worked, but we can count on the bank being able to cash it. When was the last time you went to the bank with your paycheck and the bank said, sorry, out of money, don't have it? I bet never. Most of the time, unless there's a strike, we don't have our garbage piling up on the sides of the roads. We can travel freely throughout all 50 states without being stopped and interrogated and feel like we are in danger. Internet access has become available almost everywhere. This country, it's beautiful. I mean, really. Have you looked around? I'll bet there are places in this country that you still haven't been. The Redwood Forest. Have you been to Yosemite? Have you been to the coast? Have you taken vacations just within a couple hundred miles of where you live? There are beautiful aspects of every state in this country. The American dream is still a familiar concept to most of us. And before we start preaching that America's falling apart, remember something. That right we have, the one that allows us to speak out freely, is a luxury a lot of the world doesn't have. And the freedoms, the safety, and the opportunities we all enjoy here in the U.S. are not the norm. This is not true around the world. People everywhere are desperate to have what we have. Look, I started out saying we're far from perfect. I'm not defensive about that, but we're still so fortunate that we live in America. It doesn't matter whether you live in North Dakota or Florida or Texas or California or anywhere in between. I think it's really important that we take a beat and sit down and focus on being grateful that we live in this great country. And I'm going to ask you to do something that I'll bet you haven't done. I've done it. I do it every once in a while. And you're going to think, whoa, this is a big assignment. But humor me. Don't do this on your computer. Let's go old school. I want you to get a pen and a pad, and I want you to sit down and make a blessings list. And I want you to write down 65 blessings that you have in your life. The first 10, the first 20, maybe even the first 30 are going to be really easy because you're going to talk about your kids, you're going to talk about the things that all come to mind. But after that, you're going to have to think, and that's where you're going to really learn to think about things that you take for granted. That's where I really learned, when I had to really think and stop and think, wow, I took that for granted and I shouldn't. Make a blessings list. You can't do it in one sitting. You're going to have to think about it, come back and go, you know what? I really am grateful that I can take my car and get it fixed down at the corner and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. And I'm really grateful of this or that. I'm just saying, it's Thanksgiving. What better time to give thanks? And that's the real story for today. Wherever you're getting The Real Story, make sure you subscribe and follow. I'll see you tomorrow.